Hello, welcome back to the last in this little short series of plumbing videos where I'm going to be connecting this bad boy. 70 litre Fiamma water tank, which is very popular among the van builders. So my water tank conveniently sits nicely in the back of the van there like that. And then I've already hooked up my water pump and stuff here, so it'll just run straight up to there. And then I've got this little water inlet bit that I'll fix there. Now, what most people do with these things is they'll fix a clear bit of tube from here to here. And what that allows you to do is see the water level through the clear tube. However, I'm going to be just a bit difficult really, and instead I'm using these things. These float sensors. It's literally just a switch, so once it's like that it's connected, and once it's like that it's disconnected. So once the water passes below this point, it drops and disconnects the circuit, and then this will just be connected to a little indicator light. So essentially when the light goes off, it's gone past that point, and then I'll probably have it at sort of like 60 and 30% maybe. I've got two of them, and because I've got two of them, that means I'm gonna have to connect them in parallel, so it means they can go into their own section on the fuse board. I've drawn up a little diagram so you can sort of see how they're wired up. Excuse my handwriting. So this is obviously the fuse box, this is the light, this is the float switch. So you would literally just go to the light, to the float switch, and then back to the fuse box again. And then when this is disconnected, the light goes out. Now, when you have two of them, obviously you need to collect them in parallel. So I've got the two float switches here, and then I've got some of these T connectors, which I'll show you in a bit more detail later, which allow me to branch off in two directions off that positive and negative cable. And I'm going to wire all of that up with some 22 gauge or 0.35mm cable. I'll link all of the, as always, I'll link all of the parts in the description in the video below, so you can see where to get it all and how much it costs and stuff. Now with the tank itself, it comes with a few fittings. So it comes with this little guy, so you essentially need to drill a hole in the bottom, and this goes from the inside, faces down obviously, so it can suck water from the bottom. And then you've got two options coming from the outside, so you can go directly up, which is what I'm going to be doing. Directly up like that, or you can come straight out. It also comes with some stabilising rods which you can apply, but I've made like a wooden housing stuff to keep it in place, so it should be fine. Right, so the first thing I need to do is drill the holes in the tank, which I'm very nervous about. So I need to drill the water inlet hole, the air sort of release hole, a hole for where the water's going to come out, and then two holes probably here and here where my float switches are going to fit in. Yes, good fun. There we go, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm just going to hoover up all this blue stuff and then we'll screw everything in. Right then, so now I'm just going to fit all the attachments so I can go from the inside. This literally just screws in like that. It's got this to screw on the outside, and then the float switches are the same. Screw them in from the inside, and they've got a little screw that goes over the top. Obviously when fitting these you want to make sure they're facing like that, downwards, otherwise they won't work. So next I'm going to fix the tank into place, and I've made this wooden housing the other day just out of some 9mm ply. Did a little batten across the floor that I can fasten the side bit into. Simples, and then cut a hole for my inlet to sit into. Hopefully it should fit quite nicely. So I'm just going to screw that down first. So before I fix the side panel on, I've got some 38mm hose for the water inlet and some 12mm hose for the air outtake thing, the air vent, that I'm just going to cut to size and fit to my, fit to this. There we go. So now I'm just going to get this side panel back on. There we go. And then there we go. Water inlet there. So what I'm going to do now, I've got some 12mm hose. I'm just going to connect it to my water pump using just some standard Jubilee clips. I forgot to say, what I'm also going to install in between the tank and the pump is just a little ball lever valve, just in case I need to stop the flow of water coming out of the tank and isolate the sort of the pump and the accumulator. Goes in there. Jubilee clip over the top. Tighten it up with this. Now I'm going to connect this to the tank and the pump. There we go, look. Up to the pump. So now I need to wire these little lights up. Right, so first step with the electrics, with these little lights, I'm going to fit a male connector on the end of each wire, just in case I want to replace it with something else essentially. So I'll do that first. There we go. Now I probably should have done this before I put them in the water tank actually, but I'm going to fit one of these sort of connectors to the end of each float switch. It's going to be a tight squeeze, isn't it? Oh, there we go. So I'm going to wire up one complete circuit, so I'll go from the fuse box to the light to the float switch back to the fuse box. I'll do that first, just for like one continuous circuit. So I need to get the other side in there, because I'm going to have these lights up in my shelving where that little control panel is going to be, next to like my pump on and off switch and my battery monitor and things like that. So I need to measure out that first. So for my positive cable, one end I'm going to fit a hoop connector so it fits to my fuse box, and the other end I'm going to fit a female connector so it fits into my light. And then from the negative cable coming from the light to the switch, I'm going to put a female connector on one end so it can connect into the light. I'm going to leave the other end because I've already got the connector on the other end of the switch. Then last of all, I've just got a small length of black cable that's going to go from the switch to the fuse box. And so on one end, I'm just going to connect a hoop connector. Right, let's wire this up then. So the first one I'm going to do is both the negative cables to the switch. So I'm going to attach the negative wire to the negative bus bar. So the other negative wires come up here and connect it to the light. Oh, to the wrong end actually. Then the positive wire attaches to the other end like so, and then feeds down through here onto the fuse box. So for the other switch and light, as I said before, I'm using these T connectors. Now how these work is you clip that over one wire, and you clip another wire in this way, and it sort of dissects it and makes a T junction. Pretty nifty little thing. And I've just realised that I didn't actually need to use two of those connectors if I'm using these. Okay. Right, so I connected the negative cable for the other light, and then the other end I'm just going to connect to the switch. These are two connectors coming off my other switch. I don't actually need one of them because I'm going to be connecting the T thing to it. So I'm just going to snip that off. Just strip this, and then this literally just goes in like this and clips down like so. And the other end, these are the two cables coming off the switch that I've already wired up. If I find the one that's going to the fuse box and then get my, you see this, and get my T connector, I'm just gonna place the cable over the edge like so, and then just clamp it down. I have to get some, oh there you go, boom. The other end I just need to connect, I need some black wire just to connect to the other switch, and then I use a T connector on the other end of the switch. Right, so last step, don't actually need this male connector, so I'm just going to snip it off. So if you get the T connector again, it goes in the end, like so, clamps down, and then if we take the positive cable from the other switch, there we go. So that should work. So just run through the cabling one more time, just because I felt like I rushed it a bit. So I've got the positive cable coming off here, going up here into my light, and then I have another light coming off that positive cable. Both the negative cables for those lights go all the way under into their respective switches, and then one switch goes back to the fuse box and the other switch connects with a T connector into the negative cable of the other switch. Okay, makes sense. Last thing I'm going to do is just put a little blade fuse in there. I'm going to use a 2 because it's the smallest one I've got. Pop my little cover over, and then I've got a sticker. It's the closest one I could find. Underwater lights, that'll do, won't it? Right, so now I just need to test it, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to do that tomorrow, so I'll see you tomorrow. Right then, so as promised, I'm back and I'm just going to test out the indicator lights and the float switches to check that they're, you know, wired up and working. So as my float switches are up in my shelving up there, I've just got them hanging down there so I can see them. And rather than fill the tank all the way up, I'm just going to take off this compartment and then just hit the float switches with my hand, and then hopefully we'll be able to see. So immediately you can see that float switch there. So I'm just going to turn it on. It should be the orange one. Let's give it a go. Oi, can you see that? So that's working. Now let's try the green one. Look at that. It's like a disco oven here. Sweet. I mean, that's so simple, but I'm so glad it works. So obviously this was the last in that short series of plumbing videos. I know I've done it in a bit of a weird order, but what I'm going to do next is just film like a big overview of the whole thing, the whole plumbing system essentially. But as always, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more. See you soon.